Greetings, friends and citizens of the world. This is Brother Bart's Conspiracy Corner News. I am Bart Sibrel of Sibrel.com. Remember that in the future, I'm not sure how long that will be, but in the near future, this will be moved over to Sibrel, Sibrel.com. And in order to get these news bulletins and daily alternative media news source hub, we will have a $7 a month subscription in order to support this channel. That ad revenue was taken away from YouTube, and many channels are being demonetized, shut down, anything that's contrary to the government's point of view. It's a pretty sad world that we live in. Now, you may remember not too long ago, I mentioned that I had heart surgery, and that during this procedure, which took, I guess, about 2 to 4 hours. I'm not sure because I was asleep during it, fortunately, that I couldn't sleep after the procedure for about 24 hours. And the moment that I went to sleep, I had a particular dream. And seeing how I'm a filmmaker and known for A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, which opens up with white on black titles, I saw this title, this words on the screen, and it said Luke 21:11. And as you may recall, Luke 21:11 is Jesus answering the question about what will be the signs that will precede his imminent return. And Luke 21:11, he says, and there will be great earthquakes in various places, and pestilences, and famines, and great signs in the heavens. So I think, what this meant to me is that the end times have begun. And I wanted to share with you a scripture about the end times. And often this heading up here says the day of the Lord, which is the return of the Messiah and the final judgment of the earth. And in prophesying of these days, it says, and it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. And also on my men servants and on my maid servants I will pour out my spirit in those days. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord. Now, one of these things to note is that people will start dreaming dreams. And, having this very specific scripture come to mind is very specific, And I mentioned in my last video, though I didn't highlight it too much, that about 6 months ago or so, I saw a map of the solar system, and I was shown that there was an asteroid or meteor storm, not just one, but several heading toward the Earth. And that's what I want to talk about today in greater detail. Probably one of the greatest threats to life on Earth. And I believe this whole COVID thing is really a drill to train people to shelter in place for an event like this. Janet Napolitano, the day she resigned as Homeland Security Director, said that a natural disaster is likely on its way, the likes of which the United States has never before seen. So we know that what's coming is a natural disaster. The United States has never before seen it, and it's something that you could know about in advance. And seeing how you can't predict volcanoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, or things like that, all of which the United States has seen before, we know that it's something that's natural, the United States has never experienced before, and you can predict it years in advance. And because of the geometry of the planets and comets and asteroids, you could know of a natural disaster years in advance. And I think that's what this whole COVID thing is about, putting in place in people's minds martial law, with the excuse being, quarantining, that this may, fade away and then come back again. And they're training us for some sort of, martial law. Unfortunately, they don't tell the truth. They're afraid to tell the truth about what's really going on, and they just make up lie after lie, as they have done in the past and will probably continue to do up to the very end. So don't expect them to tell you what's really going on in the world. Now, here's a gentleman, a famous author by the name of Tom Horn, who was given a vision that Pope Benedict several years ago was going to resign. He went on national TV. Many talk shows said so. They said he's a fool. No pope has ever resigned. And I don't know whether it was 6 months or 12 months later, but the Pope indeed did resign. So this same gentleman has had another vision about an asteroid hitting the Earth, and I thought I would just share the screen. All this will be linked in the description of this video, and you can check out the entire video for yourself. Let's just take a listen to it. This is from a show called It's Supernatural, hosted by a Jewish man who believes in the Messiah.
So approximately 1 year ago now, went to bed, same scenario, 2 a.m. in the morning, and all of a sudden I woke up into this panoramic, almost like a film that's playing out in front of me, and I'm in the middle of it. And what I first thought I was looking at was a giant fiery dragon. Deep up in space, moving, undulating like a serpent, racing towards the Earth. Then suddenly my point of view changed, and now I was up above the object, and I could see that it was not a fiery dragon, but rather it was a giant space rock, an asteroid. And the way it was turning as it was moving through the space in the light of the sun was glistening off of the elements of the stone. It only gave it the appearance that it was moving back and forth. Now, all of a sudden, I'm back on Earth again. And now I am surrounded by literally tens of thousands of people, and we are on a mountain. And we are running for our lives. And people everywhere are screaming and begging God to deliver them from what is coming. And I turn and I look over my shoulder, and I can see this fiery mountain, basically, this giant rock entering into the atmosphere, burning as it comes through the atmosphere, breaking apart as it comes through the atmosphere. A huge part of it strikes the ocean, a huge part of it strikes the earth, and all of a sudden, the earth is shaking so violently that none of us can stand up. We're all knocked off of our feet. It was the most horrific thing. I can hear this terrible sound as if the earth is literally cracking, like the mantle of the earth is breaking apart. And now I'm looking back over my shoulder again, in this giant wall of water, just an enormous tsunami, hundreds of feet tall, coming up over the top of this mountain. And again, everybody's trying to run. Then these, what felt like large hands, come down underneath my arms and lift me up into space, and now I'm looking down upon the earth. And here's an important part about this entire thing. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what would happen if an asteroid of that size were to impact the earth. But what I saw, I later found to be exactly how scientists describe what would transpire. With the waters boiling beneath this giant burning rock, the aerosol coming up off of that, entering into the upper atmosphere, setting in motion hurricane activity, the second part hitting the earth, causing a volcano to begin erupting.
So what you saw is what would actually happen, but you didn't have the knowledge of what would actually happen from a scientific viewpoint, but you still saw it.
Yeah. And to use street lingo, it freaked me out. Well, when I started doing the research, it really freaked me out.
But I'll tell you the thing that strikes me even stronger. You heard a name.
Yeah.
What was the name?
So as this is playing out, I'm terrified. All of a sudden I wake up and said, I almost fell out of bed on my face. I mean, I had cold chills all over me. I'd never seen anything this vivid or terrifying. I start writing it down, but then all of a sudden it was as if a voice. I don't know if this was just in my head or if it was an audible sound in the room, but it was as if a voice spoke, and it said one word: Apophis. Now,
did you know what Apophis meant?
I knew this. I knew that there was an ancient Egyptian god of darkness.
I didn't even know that.
Of chaos. Well, because I've studied mythology, but I didn't really know a lot about it.
Isn't it interesting? At first you thought it was a dragon.
That's exactly what I thought I saw. Now, the other thing I knew, and I hardly knew anything about this, was I knew that NASA had discovered an asteroid in 2004 that they named Apophis. And that was basically all I knew about it. So because what I saw was literally a space rock, when I got out of bed, I immediately went and started doing research. One thing led to the other, and learned that this asteroid at first was on NASA's radar as being an NEO, a near-Earth object, that they believed it in 2004 had the potential to impact the Earth. They still believe it's possible.
Okay, now, this Apophis, this interests me. Why do you believe Apophis is from the ancient prophecy about wormwood in the book of Revelation?
Well, first of all, I believe in prophecy. I believe in Bible prophecy. I believe this event is going to happen. I did not know that when Revelation 8 was written, where it says a star fell from heaven, it's the word asteron. It's from the Greek asteroid. Yeah, I didn't know that until then. And there was a lot of other things that I learned along the way as well. And the bottom line is Apophis is a real asteroid. And here's what they're saying. They're saying it probably isn't going to strike the Earth in 2029, so they changed their opinion a little bit. It still could, they're saying. But here's what they're saying. But it's going to come so close to the Earth that it's going to knock the satellites out that are in orbit around this planet. Now, this is a monster rock, and I talked to several astronomers, including a friend of mine that works at NASA and has above top secret security clearance, and plus Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis that works at the Pentagon, put me in contact with impact specialists, all these scientists, and they said there is no way in the world that you can say that a stone moving 28,000 miles per hour through space that's going to cover tens of thousands of miles before it gets here in 9 years is going to come so close that it's going to knock out the satellites and yet be assured that it's not going to hit the planet. They all said that's rubbish. It's a cover-up. Here's what I believe. I believe it because I saw it. I believe it because what I saw and the way it came to me has not yet one time in my life failed, including the resignation of Pope Benedict against all odds. It has not happened one time yet that it didn't unfold exactly the way I saw it. So I'm speaking from personal experience, but it's been validated by the facts after the fact. So I believe it in all my heart. I will look you in the eye and give you a new prediction, like I did when I told you the Pope was going to resign and everybody said it would never happen. In April of 2029, Apophis is going to strike the Earth.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Tom has good reasons to believe that this asteroid is a cosmic cover-up of end-time magnitude. Be right back.
So there you have it. The date, depending on where you are on the Earth, is either April 13th or April 14th, 2029, about 9 years into the future. Interesting note about April 14th. It was the day Lincoln was shot. It was the day that the Titanic struck an iceberg, and it looks like potentially the day Earth will be hit by an asteroid. Now, that doesn't mean that smaller ones wouldn't happen before then, or other cataclysmic events might happen before then. The scripture that I saw, remember, Joel says that many people will be seeing dreams. It says there will be great earthquakes in various places, as well as pestilences, although I think this is a fake one for the most part. They're probably preparing for a real one in the future that they may even deliberately release. It also says famines, and that would come from the great climate change that an asteroid hitting the Earth would cause. The one that killed the dinosaurs is said to be just 6 miles across, and yet because of its incredible velocity, it put so much dust into the atmosphere, it changed the climate. About 90% of all life, plant, insect, animal died. and it changed the climate on the Earth for about 10,000 years. It is estimate from our understanding of what time is. Let's also take a look at another thing here. Here is another channel here, and I'll link to this, and I just want to listen to this for a moment, something about asteroids. Again, I had a dream that an asteroid storm was heading toward Earth. This gentleman had a dream that this particular asteroid is going to hit Earth, depending on where you are, on the 13th or 14th of April in the year 2029. And now NASA's not known for the most honest space information, but here's someone from the European Space Agency that gives us a similar warning.
Recently, an astronaut from the European Space Agency, a mission specialist aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery in the year 2007, and a recent member aboard the International Space Station, posted a warning on Twitter, indicating that there are presently more than 1 million asteroids that have the potential to strike Earth. His warning is in the form of a brief video capture, and it comes as a stern reminder that the nations on Earth are ignoring the probability of a sudden strike, that the time to act is now.
And perhaps that's what this whole, quarantining, sheltering in place is a rehearsal for. I mean, I feel like it's actually just a drill for something in the future. And maybe that's what this is. You may follow economic news as well. And here's something interesting. And I've been suspecting this for a long time, that the dollar will crash. In fact, the CIA says one of the most unpredictable things a spy agency can do is a self-inflicted wound. In fact, the United States, if they wanted to, could just announce, or it could leak out, in quotes, they could force a leak, that the moon landings were fake. They could come out and acknowledge it. Someone could come forward and confess it. And that would definitely, in my opinion, crash the dollar. And that would have a ripple effect throughout the world. And it looks like they're basically want to control this disaster. If there's a disaster of asteroids coming to the Earth, they're going to want to control it as much as possible. And sometime firefighters will start a fire to control the fire better. And I think this whole, COVID thing, which I believe is mostly fake, though the next time may be an actual biological weapon released, they will do things like that, crash the dollar, and other things we, may not even be able to fathom. They will set these fires in order to control society better and have it locked down for this great event, whatever it is, from outer space. Because that's what, Joel says. It says that there will be signs from heaven. It says, I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire, pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned to darkness. That could be from an asteroid dust cloud, and the moon to blood. That would be streaking, a meteor streaking in front of the moon before the coming and great day of the Lord. And that's basically what Luke 21:11 and 21:12 talks about, signs in the heavens. I'm also going to link a video and that I did previously, you may not have seen, very important, that talks about, let's see what the title of this is the COVID virus, a drill for Planet X. I've been studying Planet X for about 20 years, and I've been tracking a lot of stories for things that will happen in the year 2022, including 2 stars allegedly colliding in the sky that's going to light up. That could just be an excuse, a cover story for Planet X happening in 2022. I've talked about this for many years in the past and have thought that they will start to prepare for such an event 2 years in advance, and that would be right about now. Planet X is estimated to come always like a comet trajectory during the time of Passover, the spring. And so, lo and behold, in March, 2 years before 2022, we have strange things starting to happen. I highly recommend watching this video which will be linked in the description, as well as another video I did recently titled Something Big is Coming. And you can see here, this is the magnetic field strength of the Earth that is suddenly dropping down so dramatically. This could be the natural disaster that Janet Napolitano talked about as well, or it could be all of it. I'm not sure. Be sure to look at these sources in the description of this video. And remember, if you're not right with God, now's a good time to do that, because anything less than immortality is a complete waste of time. Please support this channel, and a special thanks to people who do. The link to do so will be in the description of this video. I pray that everyone has a good week ahead, and hopefully I'll see you again in 7 days.